what I raised today was, I suppose, a passion for youth work and a passion for youth clubs, and it's something that I'm very interested in myself. I volunteer at Cooley Youth Club, and I'm looking forward to that starting up in the coming weeks. But what I have learned from engaging with Youth Work Ireland, locally in County Louth, and Caroline Flanagan, who does incredible work there in Dundalk and all around County Louth, is that funding piece, and it's about getting that dedicated, earmarked funding for youth workers, and really to celebrate that as a career, as a profession, and to see how that should be rolled out in a more frameworked manner. I have asked, my commencement matter is fairly open, and it's about youth clubs, but really I want to kind of dig down on, when we look at a gap on youth workers and we look at a gap of youth clubs, and we see, the opportunity that is lost when we have that gap. And Minister, we're very lucky that we have one in our area, but for many years we didn't have one, and then it was volunteer led, and now there's no UBU worker then to go out to us and support us as volunteers in our local community, trying to support our young people. That means there's a gap in skills, a gap in the expertise. And Minister, what I'm asking is a real dedicated fund to youth workers, and to really look at the needs, the gaps, and audit within the Department of Children to see. We have the population data now. We have up-to-date population data. We can see where the volunteer youth clubs are. We can see where the volunteer youth cafes are popping up, and indeed the UBU youth cafes are. We know where they are, but we also know and see where the gaps are. So speaking to Caroline Flanagan in Dundalk there recently, I spoke to her this morning, and she was really glad that I was highlighting this, but one thing she wanted me to highlight was it's not a down on the youth work sector. It's an up. They're doing incredible work, and she wanted me to highlight the incredible work, the incredible fundraising they're doing, but this is what there is. They're spending an awful lot of time chasing grant applications, chasing funding, and then providing a project base. When that project and that funding is over, those children are left out in the limb. I saw it in Carneyford with Erin Finnegan. She worked day and night for children as a detached youth worker, walking around the streets, picking up kids, bringing them in, feeding them pizza of an evening. That project ended, Minister. Funding ended, and then we had a gap. And then community workers are opening up a brand new in the Foy Centre in Carneyford, but again, volunteers. There's no funding for it. They're afraid they won't be able to open the doors next year. They have a beautiful facility and a huge young population in Carneyford, and that's only one place. It's the same as in Dundalk, RD, Dunleer. There's nothing set up in Dunleer. Drogheda has more resources. All around County Louth, we need these wee hubs. And in rural areas, there are huge gaps right across the country. And I know that for a fact. And I suppose what I ask is that every county would have a dedicated youth work officer that would be going around supporting and increasing the youth clubs around the country, making sure that we have safe spaces, safe activities. And when volunteers like myself, Minister, are standing there talking to young people as not a bouncer, I want to be able to support them and to know what best to do, and to have those activities, and to celebrate the young people, encourage them to do positive things in their community. But really, we need that multi-annual support and a dedicated worker to be able to do that. Gura my gosh.
Thank you, Senator. Minister, your 4 minutes to reply.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. I want to thank the Senator for raising this very important matter. I, like you, am a great fan of youth clubs and youth organisations. They provide young people with a chance to develop and grow, particularly in self-confidence and empathy. They give young people an opportunity to succeed on their own merits. They provide supports for all young people, but particularly those who are disadvantaged, and especially from my own brief, those who suffer with anxiety, those who might be suffering emotional distress. They are absolutely fantastic. As you are all aware, Budget 24 is currently being finalised by Government, and you will appreciate that it would not be appropriate for me to comment on any specific details of future investment until the budget announcement. I didn't say at the start, Senator, I am taking this from Minister O'Gorman, who's currently at a Cabinet meeting. However, that said, It is the case that the Government currently provides significant funding to support the delivery of a range of youth work programmes and services. In 2023, this funding exceeded €75 million in current and capital funding. During Minister O'Gorman's time in office, there has been a significant increase in the level of investment for the youth sector. From 21 to 23, current funding for youth services and programmes increased from €61.7 million to €72.9 million, an 18% increase overall. The majority of the funding goes to UBU, what you refer to Your Place, Your Space, a youth service funding scheme that targets disadvantaged, marginalised and vulnerable young people. The national allocation for UBU is over €46 million for this year. UBU was launched in 2021 with funding provided for 260 youth services which are administered on a local level by the National Network of Education and Training Boards, the ETBs. ETBs carry out area needs assessment to enable them to prioritise the youth services which are most needed in their operational area, and these services are provided by third-party organisations with expertise in designing and delivering youth services. These organisations are predominantly charities and provide an essential service to these young people and to their communities. These organisations provide youth work services for traditional youth clubs, to outreach services to disengaged young people, and online services for young people who are unable to access their premises in person. But I also want to talk about the volunteers. And Senator, I know you said you were a volunteer yourself, and I do want to say, to give a big boolabus to the volunteers that give an awful lot of their time up to support young people in these youth centres. And I always talk about where would we be as a society without the spirit of volunteerism we see the length and breadth of the country. UBU funding has increased year on year since its introduction, which has created 16 new services and allowed smaller organisations to increase their staffing levels. Minister O'Gorman's department also provides funding to universal youth services which are open to all young people. Funding of over €13 million was made available in 2023 to the 30 national youth organisations through the Youth Services Grant Scheme. The services of these youth organisations are predominantly delivered by volunteers, which I've just spoke to, and encourage their young members to take part in a wide range of activities, including scouting, drama and music. Universal youth services are also provided by the local volunteer lead youth clubs, which are supported by local youth club grant scheme. This scheme supported 1,400 clubs nationwide with a budget of €2.5 million. We are also aware, Senator, that young people face a mass of information and misinformation online. To help young people to access accurate and reliable information about the issues that matter to them, the Department provides funding of just over €1.5 million to youth information centres nationally. The purpose of these centres, staffed by youth workers, is to provide young people with access to accurate information on rights, opportunities, benefits, health and welfare.
Thank you, Minister. Senator, you have 1 minute for supplementary.
My God, Minister, yes, I can't disagree with anything that you said in your speech there. And I suppose I was want to highlight, there is a level of bureaucracy there, and it comes from through the ETB, and there has to be someone picked to be this. But I suppose what I want is just a national framework, so a place that would know what exactly. Each ETB deals with this differently, and I know it's a localised base, but really the people on the ground then know. There is not a uniformity across the country, and yes, there has to be a flexibility within that, but there is no uniformity across the country. Each youth work organisation deals with different things different ways, and it can be very difficult. But the fact is that those UBUs are only in in small areas. They're not everywhere. And prevention is far cheaper and better than cure, Minister. And I would say that we start looking at the youth work officers who haven't, I might add, haven't had many of them haven't had an increment in about 10 years. So must throw that in because youth work is a very valuable career, a very important profession in the framework of society. And I think, Minister, again, a dedicated youth work officer that will go around supporting youth clubs and the young people.
Minister.
Thank you.